emoji. Everybody uses emoji.
Hello and welcome to Emoji Wrap, a podcast about all things emoji. I'm your host, Jeremy Burge, and it is good to be back for Season 2. Now, first of all, thank you so much for people who have been waiting around for this. I admit a lot of you, this might be the first time you're listening, but for anyone that stuck around from Season 1, yes, it has taken a while, but it is good to be back. Since we last recorded, Emoji 5.0 has been released by Unicode earlier in the year. That's the update, the emoji update for 2017. It is now supported on Android 8, which has just recently come out. The Windows 10 Fall Creators Update will also support that, and that's in testing right now, out very soon. And Apple, unusually for them actually, released a preview of the emojis coming out soon. They're not on any shipping device right now, not even in the developer previews. But on World Emoji Day this year, they released a bunch of pictures to say, here's a sample of what's coming, and the rest are coming by the end of 2017. Which might not seem like a big deal, but Apple doesn't tend to like to pre-announce things that aren't in some kind of shipping build. If they're talking about something at WWDC, it tends to be in the developer preview then. So that was good fun to see, and a nice way to celebrate World Emoji Day. And if you did miss the World Emoji Day celebrations, there was all kinds of things going on. Personally, I was at the Empire State Building, which was getting lit yellow for World Emoji Day, and in a weird thing for me, I guess, that so I was there and Girls Who Code were there, and I got to meet Patrick Stewart who was the Pooh in the Emoji Movie, and he was lovely. And it was a very strange scene being on these red carpets to do with World Emoji Day that is very different than my usual day job writing on Emojipedia and talking with you here on the podcast. But I'll put some links in the show notes to everything that's been a little summary of what's been going on in 2017 between when we recorded and now. This week, I've got a great guest lined up, Florence Ion. I'll introduce her in a moment, but we just had a good chat about the new Android emojis, what's new, what's changed, the blobs are gone. Samsung, what are they doing? Sometimes, what is up with some of those designs? We don't know. Flo has promised to get to the bottom of some of this for me. So we touch on some good and interesting things worth having a listen to. And thank you again for sticking around, and I'll see you on the other side. Florence, hello. Thank you. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Jeremy. How are you doing? I'm so excited to be doing this with you.
I know. Thank you for coming on. There's been a pretty big gap between Season 1 and Season 2 of Emoji Wrap. We had 4 episodes. I think it might have been 8 months ago, and this is the first one back. We're in emoji season again.
I think that Westworld is also practicing this. I believe that we have to wait until 2018 for the next season.
That's how it works. You don't pre-announce either. I made the mistake of telling someone a good 2 months ago or so. Yeah, no, any day now. We're coming right back with a new episode, and I've regretted doing anything like that.
Podcasts are a lot of work. They're so much work, and I know that they can really help you build a following, or not. I mean, and connect with the community, and it's good, for the outreach to the internet, but it doesn't make any money, and and when it's I got to do this podcast, it's I'm gonna go make some money first.
As soon as we're recording, I'm like, why don't I do this more often? This is fun. And then
it's so much fun.
To lining something up, then you're like, lining it up and
editing it,
time zones and all the things. And
yeah.
Then when we're doing it, it's good fun. It's
exactly.
good. So for anyone who hasn't heard you before on anything, you are the host. Do you call the co-host? One of the hosts of All About Android on Twit and
yes.
the Material podcast on Relay FM.
Yes.
They're your 2 regulars, right?
Yep. That's every Tuesday and Wednesday. I do those 2 shows.
And recently, excitingly, you've been writing on Emojipedia once. You've been on the site once with a look at some new stuff happening on Android.
Well, hopefully there'll be more than once. The onus is on me also to, pitch. Yeah, I love emoji. And it's funny because so I used to use your website because for the longest time I didn't know how to use the shortcut on the Mac.
Yeah,
The
you know, a lot of
emoji.
people don't know this, and I don't want to lose a bunch of traffic over this, but it's Control Command Space if you're out there.
Don't tell people that. No. It's and then on Windows 10 too. It's like, oh my gosh. So I just have your site bookmarked, and then I just go type. And sometimes I don't know what the name of the emoji is on Slack, for instance. So then I have to go like look it up. So your site is very helpful for those of us who want to express ourselves. In that, I guess it's non-binary. I guess it's because it's a picture essentially.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have emoji like until much later in life because I was an Android user and I don't know. So are you an Android user? I actually don't know this.
I am not. I'm my default phone, so I'm pretty embedded. I've got a Mac. I have an iPhone. They're my go-tos. That I have an Android phone on every now and then. I had
Sure.
the Nexus for the longest time, and it was okay, but it was sort of in the era where, you know, they didn't... You get promised the updates, and then you wouldn't get the updates.
Yeah, but you guys have had emoji as iOS users for quite a long time. Back in my day, when I was first starting out with smartphones, you were lucky if you had that embedded in your keyboard. And I didn't want to use any of those drastic, scary third-party keyboards. I'm not really a third-party keyboard person anyway. I never really have been, just because I suffer from change. I don't.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
change,
I'm a first party all around for everything. Even if it's terrible, I'm still the guy, the one using the built-in podcasts app instead of there's so many better everything, and I'm still there going, no, the default one will get better one day.
Yeah, precisely. But now we have them, which is great, and I believe we beat you guys to the punch as far as the women occupations, right?
Yeah,
that come out
Android's
last
been
year.
right on it. So Google, obviously, so the big news this week has been Android 8 came out, and it Oreo got the name.
Mm-hmm.
Were you doing anything to do with the name announcement, or were you covering that anywhere?
Yes, Jason Howell and I did a live Twitch stream of that on Monday, and then like 15 minutes into it, Jason's like, "It's a statue reveal. Do we just covered a statue reveal?" And it was just kind of funny because it's exactly what it was. It was a live stream of statue reveal that was going on at the same time as the eclipse. So I was texting my BFF that I told you about before we started recording. I was texting her, we were just talking about the eclipse, whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm about to go do a live stream for Android Oreo. And she's like, have fun. No one's going to be watching because everyone's going to be looking up.
Yeah.
So, that's fair.
I mean, it was sort of just after. I think it was quite clever, the timing, putting it on the same day. But yeah, it's sort of maybe... It's hard, right? Are you owning the news cycle by doing it on the same day, or are you getting eclipsed by the cycle? Excuse the pun.
I bet you that was just their original launch date. Maybe the developers had just said, okay, looking ahead, this is the official launch date. Because I think they launched it around late summer too last year. So this is just kind of the status quo at this point until we get a new phone, a new Google phone in a couple of months. So, but it's kind of anticlimactic if you're a huge diehard Android user because you've already maybe had the developer preview. If you have a stock phone, which means that, yes, I have been using the new emojis.
You're all over it. They've got the new stuff from, I guess, they tend to be, we used to talk about Unicode versions because you get all the new code points and that have new emojis in them. But now there'd be an emoji version as well because some of these sequences for gender, they're not in there. So this is the Emoji 5.0 update that was approved in June, and Android has it. They also got rid of the blobs. Do you have feelings about the blobs, people? The impression that I get is that the bulk of users just want their emojis to look kind of like iOS, and then a small percentage of users freaking love the blobs and will tear down the internet to get them back.
I mean, I downloaded the sticker pack in Allo, which I realized 5 people are using, because I wanted that. I'm there's a lot of things that have changed that I am just not happy about. First and foremost, which was the fact that like they look very iOS-like. And I was kind of used to that, jumping back and forth between phones since I reviewed the different phones throughout the year, and I get to like use them and switch between them, kind of learn, because for those who don't know, like every Android phone kind of has a different user experience, which is like a whole issue. And if you want to know more, I write all about that. So that's for another podcast. But yeah, like, so we had talked before, you and I personally, about the Samsung emoji, for instance, and how they're like different. But for the Google emoji, the blobs were just like, they were their own mascot. In a sense, like they were kind of a mascot of Android. Like, hey, emoji is a thing, everybody's using it, but like this is how we are going to be ourselves. And I think part of it was, maybe this is just my interpretation of it, but part of it was these blobs can be anything you want them to be. They're not people, they're not aliens, they're just expressions and emotions.
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes put it that if the only emoji set was the Google Android set, then great. I'm all for it. I think they're super cute. I think they're fun to look at. Some of them have some more expressive facial features than the smileys, but I don't know. In a cross-platform world, it just seems to me that that's sort of a utopia that doesn't exist, and that the reality is that perhaps you want to know what your iOS using friends are going to see, and maybe by approximating it, making it look closer to them, that you're giving them a hand, that you're doing them a favor.
That's a good point. And I think there's been a lot of marketing push on Google's side to sort of make Android, and this is not to say that it's not. I mean, I'm coming at this as an Android user, but I feel like in the world of smartphones, you know, Android isn't considered as mainstream as iOS, at least in the terms of like like having an iPhone is cool. And like, if you're going to have a fashion brand, you're going to make iPhone cases, right? Because it's sort of what the cool kids are wearing.
Right.
And Android was kind of like everybody else has got an Android phone. So I always kind of felt part of like the everybody else world. So
especially
like
stock Android.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like a lot of people that, at least I know, Samsung is to them Android, and Google stock Android is this other thing that some people have.
That's so true. I don't know what it's like to live life as only a Samsung person, because I've been sort of switching between Samsung and Google like throughout the past 5 years, because they're the two major, I mean, those are the two phones you're going to consider if you're going into the Android world, quite frankly. But I was going to say that some of the Oreo emoji, the way they've sort of changed, I feel have kind of changed my willingness to use those particular emoji, because I don't like the way they look. Whereas other emoji are so much more detailed that you're just like, this is cool. I'm so happy to see this detailed emoji. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. There are some nice changes. Are there any have any changed that you're really disappointed by?
The hugging
personally,
face. The hugging
Which
face.
one?
The hugging.
Yeah.
Because the blob version is just this very like, it kind of looked like a spirit hands.
I'm having a look. Right.
It looked it looked like spirit
Jazz
hands.
hands.
So you can kind of use
Spirit
them.
hands, same
You
thing.
can use them as a. They had very different annotations. Like you can use them however you kind of wanted, and my friends would get it, even though like their iOS version was showing something different. Like a hugging face is a hugging face, but the way it looks now, like the way the hands are drawn, is just kind of weird to me. And no offense to the designer, no offense. It's just you know
what? I would be in favor. I think this is a better hug, though. It's just not as versatile. But I would be in favor of everybody. The old jazz hands, that's not a hug. You don't hug people with your palms out. So I would be in favor of everybody doing this, and we can have a new jazz hands emoji.
I didn't even know it was a hugging face until I like signed up for Slack, and then I had to learn how to like type in the names of them. It's just like, I had no idea that was hugging. I thought it was jazz. I thought it was going, ah.
Yeah. I never use this as hugging. There's no way. It's my excited,
I
looking
still
forward
use it.
to seeing you on the weekend.
Yes. And I still use it that way. And then I've also been using the dancer one a lot, like just the flamenco dancer, I guess.
Yes.
That's also a good one because I'm just a spastic person in real life. And I feel like when I use it with my friends, they know that it's just me like being a spastic hyper person. So
Just having a good time. Do you miss, they used to have the blobby dancer guy, which again was cute. But
that was so cute. Oh, come on.
I mean,
he had a flower in his mouth and he was like tangoing. And he had a little naked butt. It was so cute.
I mean, definitely, but just so far from what people, especially at the time when stock Android really, that emoji set wasn't hitting that many people compared to, say, iOS with WhatsApp and Samsung set, that, I don't know, what people thought their friends were seeing, I'm not sure, but I hope they realized that they weren't seeing this cute little blobby Casanova guy like they thought they were.
Blobby Casanova guy. That's good. I think the other ones that I sort of, like, I didn't see any. So I got to, actually, I think we're coming up to this in a bit. I don't know if we want to jump into it.
No, let's go.
All right. So another big event in the Android world this week was the Note 8 launch, or rather it was the Note 8 announcement because it hasn't actually been technically launched to the public yet.
I was going to ask you. I'm aware that a thing happened. I'm aware Samsung Galaxy Note 8, the name or something, but fill me in. I genuinely, I've missed the whole cycle on this.
Well, it's a phablet phone. It's bigger than the GS8, so if you want like a slightly bigger screen, it's literally like slightly incrementally bigger than the GS8 Plus. It also comes with this S Pen, and its premise is very much about like being a super uber productive person, but kind of like you're this, you love Samsung, you love using Samsung, and you have this like really great phone in your hands. The thing about the Note 8 is that it kind of is like the forward-facing Samsung phone. So for people who love Samsung, they look forward to this phone because it kind of comes with these features that we know that are going to come on the GS8 or the next GS, the next Galaxy phone. And
GS
we know
is the cool way to say Samsung
I just
Galaxy.
made that up. By the way, that's not like factual, so I apologize.
No, that's fine. You can go with what you like.
So it's kind
I'll
of
try and keep up over here.
Yeah, it's just kind of a way to tease like what's coming, like the iris scanning that came in the Note 7 before it came to the GS8s. So when I got to go to the briefing, which was awesome, I got to see the Note 8. It's a really beautiful phone. I mean, Where
was this? Where do they hold briefings?
Well, for the press,
right.
For those of the Android press. So
Yep.
It's super secret. For the most part. You have no idea it's happening ever. But it's happening when you're sleeping. And I kind of went digging into the system settings, as you usually do when you're at these things. And so it was running Nougat, so there weren't any new emoji. And I kind of popped in there to check on it because we had been talking about the emoji compat, you and I, that's in the Android O source code, Oreo, to sort of like help bring emoji to everybody, that sort of sense. And so I didn't see any of like the new emoji. I don't know what they're going to look like on the Samsung phones when Oreo
the fun thing with the Samsung phone, so to give people a bit of insight on a lot of the other vendors, they'll sometimes give Emojipedia, they'll sort of give us a heads up with what's happening, or not always. Sometimes we just got to keep an eye on what's happening, and someone might say, hey, look, here's something new. And Samsung, sort of this black box in a way that yes, they'll talk a bit about what's new and the new headline features of a product, but it's very challenging getting answers on things like emoji that, at least on the Samsung phone, they tend to include in, what do they call it now? Samsung Experience, which is their layer that used to be called TouchWiz, I believe. Yep. And there's no universal changelog for Samsung Experience. I gather it's different in different countries, on different phones, and trying to come up with a pinned down list of exactly what changes in each Samsung Experience version and when, I found incredibly challenging. And I don't know whether as someone that covers the Android press, whether you have any similar complications in keeping track of what Samsung puts in their various updates that aren't necessarily an Android update at the same time.
You know what? I should be better about that. I think it gets a little, I'm going to be honest from a personal standpoint here and say that it gets really overwhelming dealing with all these different interfaces, because at one point I kind of stopped caring about what you're trying to offer me as a consumer. Like, I think you need to just stop. And I'm speaking mostly to those sort of lower end brands that tend to just stuff things onto a phone because they just need to bring this phone cost down. So they'll just put like whatever apps on it and stuff. But in like Samsung's case, this is a flagship phone. This is like the biggest Android seller in arguably the world. And the emoji, I think part of the reason I never really dig into them is because I don't like the way they look. It's the honest
So
truth.
Samsung's emoji, I think a lot of people would have seen them. They look super shiny.
They're so detailed, though.
They're quite cute.
Yes.
You might not necessarily like the angle or the decisions they make all the time, but it's fair to say I think that they sort of take iOS and amp it up times 2. So some people already think iOS is too shiny, and Samsung make it twice as shiny and twice as exaggerated, let's say.
Well, and they're selling to the person who's considering an iPhone. So it makes total sense. I get it. It's so interesting, by the way, as I'm going through the list on your site, Emojipedia.org, for those who are listening in.
We have the .com too. It's cool. We have the .com. We've got them all.
Awesome. And I have those emoji sticker sets that you can get of the iOS emoji because you can buy them on AliExpress for $2. And I'm noticing that a lot of like the scenery ones look exactly the same as iOS. In fact, I had to scroll back up and make sure that I was on the right page.
Yeah. There's you know what? So what I'd love to do, I'd really like to talk to someone on the Samsung design team because I have so many questions that sometimes you think, have they ever seen any other emoji set in the world? When they go so far differently from what everyone's doing, namely the eye roll emoji being a big one, where their eye roll looks incredibly happy, which ruins any conversation. Or
what?
If you send someone,
oh my God, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, so if you look at this one, I know we're on an audio medium right now, but if you're on a Samsung phone and you think, oh, let me just send a friendly text to Flo, I'm just going to say hello and what's going on, how's the weekend? And I might send this friendly looking emoji that smiles and the eyebrows are slightly raised and it glances to the corner. But that is on every other platform. It's the eye roll and looks fed up and unimpressed. And you'd have no idea.
Is he supposed to be, or she, it's really ungendered here. It's just a yellow blob. Are they supposed to be like, oh, that silly person, I'm rolling my eyes at them? Because then that changes the meaning of the emoji entirely. Because I don't
isn't even close.
Yeah, I don't use it to laugh at people. I use it to go, really?
Yeah. You don't use this with your friends. You use this to complain about someone else or something else. You're not using it directing it at the person you're talking to.
Well, or they make a bad joke, which is when I use it, like when my husband makes a really bad dad joke. But I don't want to smile at him. I want to give him all the disdain I possibly can so that he feels
Get him a
bad.
Samsung. He'll just think you're really impressed with his
He would
humor.
never. I got him from Windows Phone. I plucked him from Windows Phone and I brought him into my Android world, and he's staying with the Nexus or whatever, Google Track, and we're going to keep him there because he's comfortable. So that's where he's going to be comfortable.
Well, the questions I have for Samsung designers are, number one, when they're doing something like this, is this a deliberate choice, or have they just not had a glance at this page on Emojipedia to check what everyone else is doing? And number two is that there's a whole bunch of them, and I'm trying to find which one has it. All of a sudden last year, someone started putting their initials on every other emoji. There are so many emojis on Samsung that have but different initials all over them. I'm trying to find which ones have it. They're on the most obscure ones.
If you find it, please link me because I'm very curious about this.
Yeah, let me have a little look around. That right near the bottom of the page. This is the Galaxy Note 7 update, which, by the way, we refer to by the model name because, again, it ties to some Samsung Experience version and no one can fill us in of exactly which version. So it was the Samsung Experience version that hit with the Galaxy Note 7. And if you scroll nearly to the bottom,
I see.
You can see there's a bunch of books and there's the name badge. And since then, it's expanded. There's more and more updates. Every update, another 3 emojis will get random letters written on them.
I'm going to get down to the bottom of this for you.
Please do. Please do.
I need to know what's going on here because I am very... Note 7 emojis before the update, and then after the update. Who is SJST? I want to know.
And they're not even subtle. They sort of look like an Easter egg. You know, it'd be kind of clever. Apple does this a lot where they write in little phrases on their emojis, but you can barely see them. But these are plastered all over them.
They don't add anything to the emoji, quite frankly. Like, it doesn't add anything. Like, if anything, it takes away from the emoji, because it's like, who is HS?
The name badge says LHK on it, and you might think that is what that emoji is meant to be, but it's just the old emoji, but with a random initials on it.
That is very... Oh, wow. I feel bad that I didn't see this page last year, because when you see some of the things that have been changed, old and new, it's very curious.
Yeah, they have a... Yeah, again, I just want answers. You know, maybe some of these are deliberate. Maybe some of these, it's just they went to a different designer and that designer liked this or that. You know, maybe some of them don't have a big meaning, but... Yeah, they have some odd choices sometimes. It's
probably like
I'd love to find out what's going on.
It's probably like a Pixar film where they always hide like an Easter egg from like the last movie in every new movie.
Right.
Or like they always hide the little ball from Andy's room.
It's an elaborate... Yeah, I mean, these must be names. I think so. There must be people's initials. They're normally 2 or 3 letters.
Behind the initials on the Samsung emoji. Special report.
So to recap for people, so the... Android Oreo now, 8.0, that does have all the new emojis. Samsung, the new Galaxy Note 8, so far as we can tell, does not. It's on its older version. Nothing's new there. Are people getting the Oreo update on their Pixels yet? Is that finally rolling out to people as of the announcement?
Yeah, slowly but surely. Some people got it already. I got it, but that's because I was on the beta, so it just automatically updated me. I don't know if my husband's got it on his 6P, but I know a couple of other people have on their Nexus I. So I think it's just... I think it's just getting rolled out based on whatever weird algorithm Google uses to do software updates.
That was the general word that I sort of heard, is that it's getting out there, but yeah, I didn't get any sort of firm numbers on how many people are getting it and what percentage of especially Pixel users are getting that this week, let's say, or next week.
I wish that, this is not an Android podcast, but I do wish that we had some sort of centralized like software or website for software updates so that it doesn't have to go through the phone, so that we can all be on this update cycle the way that kind of iPhone users are. You guys just plug in your phone, you grab the update from the iTunes server or whatever, and then you onboard it. And I wish that there was something similar for Android users, because it's very, especially if you want to use those new emoji, then you have to wait. And that's not fair.
And it's a crowd effect, right? You need your friends to have them. There's no point sending a new emoji to someone on an old OS. So you need a large percentage of people to be on it to make it worth sending.
Precisely, especially that unicorn emoji.
Yes, it's a good one. It's nice. And but if I'm looking, so what I've pulled up here, I've pulled up the Android version... what do they call it? Developer dashboard, where they'll show which Android version everyone has. They haven't got 8.0 listed here yet, but it says in a period ending the 8th of August. So I guess we're a couple of weeks behind on this. And it's still showing 1.2% of Android users on 7.1, which was released earlier in the year, late last year from memory. And then 7.0 is still 12%. The biggest percentage of people are on Marshmallow on 6.0, which is only 32%. So we're sort of still seeing this whole Android issue where the majority of people get stuck on old versions, where their vendors don't give them new updates. And you wrote about this earlier in the year, that Google has sort of an answer. They've tried to come up with an answer so that if you have an old version of Android, you don't get stuck without the new emoji support. And that's what was called Emoji Compat. And do you have any other details to bring people up to speed? The idea is that app developers can embed Emoji Compat in their apps, and you use the example of Instagram that if they embedded Emoji Compat in there, then an old Android version, a user using an old version of Android could see the new emojis even though they're on, say, last year's Android.
Right. So I haven't been able to see this in action, because
Right.
I
It
feel
does
like
seem like no one's using it yet.
Exactly. It's like super early. I think that it really is going to depend on the developers. But I mean, the good news is that now you can just have it now you don't have to like include these libraries in your individual app. So I think for app developers, it's going to like help save a little bit on space or something of the sort, or at least that's what I heard going around this week. Because Google sort of changed the way the font library works on 8.0.
Yeah, it seemed like that the idea is that apps can just include this little library and that the system can then download the font, a new font for everybody. Every app can tap into a new version of an emoji font, even if you get left behind on an old Android version. Because at least from what I know, obviously I'm in a very specific part of the tech world, but it seems like a lot of Android users, they don't really know or care which version they're on, but they do care when they suddenly get a text message and there's a bunch of question marks in boxes that they can't see.
Yeah, and you know, that was like to our earlier point about, you know, the Samsung phones, like are we going to see a mixture of the Android O icons show up along with like whatever is on it's just I'm not entirely sure how this is going to come through.
Yeah, it play out in practice. And I did ask Google after your article sort of outlined some possibilities for how this will look. And I gather that, yeah, that's it. That if you're on a Samsung phone, at least as it looks today, yeah, you might even get a mix and match of emojis. You might get Samsung emoji support for everything your phone supports. But then, hypothetically, if your Samsung phone gets left behind, you might start seeing the stock Android ones come through for any new emoji. So it's still much better than seeing nothing, but it could be kind of weird when you've got this mix and match of the new Android Google designs and then the Samsung Shiny designs in the same app.
Or it'll drive you to go get a Google phone because you realize that those emoji are a lot cuter than the Samsung ones.
Yes. Well, except the animals. Look at the animals, though. I've got to say, the Samsung animals are the best animals.
Oh, no, they are.
I will throw them a bone there.
You're absolutely right. Well, that's why I was saying, like, their emoji are so nice and detailed. But sometimes you don't want detail. Like, you just want to, you know, I'm a smiley person. Like, I really rely on the smileys and the hand gestures to tell people how I'm feeling. So I need those to kind of be on par with me. But as far as Emoji Compat, I think let's wait a couple weeks, and I'm gonna start firing up some of my older phones that I have around here, and I think I'm just gonna get in there and see what works. I'm gonna give it this little bit of time to grow. You know, the seeds need to be watered and that sort of thing. You know, in the sense of people getting their updates. And plus, I need to wait a little bit.
Start tweeting, yeah. Start tweeting some new emojis as well. Use the hedgehog. I love the hedgehog, the new hedgehog. You could start tweeting that out everywhere and just see who supports the hedgehog. They're
illegal in the state of California to have as pets, just by the way. Nobody have a hedgehog as a pet.
I don't want to get sidetracked too much, but is this for the animal or why? Is there a reason? Do you know?
I think there's a reason. Like, ferrets are really bad because they can get into the walls and they can cause some real destruction. So I wonder if it's something along the lines of that. But I didn't really look into it. But they're cute.
Write in. Someone write in. Only one person. One person's fine.
Please.
Whoever knows, tell me because I'd like to know once.
And then I'm going to go Google
why you
that.
can't have it as a pet in California. Flo, it's been awesome having you on. I just realized that we normally do this for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, just a quick wrap up of what's going on. And yeah, here we are. And I feel like we've covered a reasonable amount, including hedgehogs. We touched on a few things. I have a little tip for people before they go that if you start seeing question marks at this time of year and you don't know what people are sending you, no matter which phone you're on, you might be sending me something from your Android 8 to my iPhone, which it doesn't support. But we have a little thing called Botmoji, and you can tweet at Botmoji, and you can send the emoji to it, and it will say what it is. It'll send you back a preview of what it is. So you can quickly copy and paste whatever you're not seeing and quickly find out what you are missing out on, which is a nice little extra that we put out there for people.
That's fantastic. I gotta let people know about that. Good call on that one, because sometimes I'm on operating systems too that like are not just displaying anything on the browser, which is very frustrating.
Yes, so send it to @Botmoji, and yeah, you'll get a little preview and a link and all the things. But that's something at this time of year in particular we see a lot of use because everybody's getting their updates at different times, and it's all over the shop.
Oh boy, updates galore.
Emoji season. Flo, great to speak to you. Where can people find you on Twitter and your various appearances and writings?
Jeremy, it was really great to speak with you, especially as a giant fan of emoji. So I really appreciate you having me on today. You can find me maybe using emoji in my articles. Just go over to florenceion.com. I'll be updating it with my current work. You can also find me, like I said, twice a week on All About Android and Material Podcast, and on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at That Flow.
Oh, Snapchat too. I should add you on Snapchat.
Yeah,
do you do fun things on there? What am I going to find on your Snapchat?
I'm really into Snapchat. I do a lot of confessionals. I do a lot of snaps of my cat, just kind of like torturing her. Not really torturing, but I just bother her. She hates me so much. I just bother her.
You just want to be loved.
I do. By my cat.
And cats just
the hardest
don't
love of all.
Want to give it up. Yep. Well, that is excellent. Go follow Flo. She'll be back on Emojipedia sometime because she knows far more about Android than I do. And there's always something going on. And if anything, Google is the most proactive in their emoji support in recent times. So I think we should keep an eye on what they're up to.
Yeah.
And for everyone else, if you want to follow me, I'm at Jeremy Burge on Twitter and on Instagram. Don't follow my Snapchat. You can follow the show at Emoji Wrap. And a big thanks, as always, to Jonathan Mann, who does our theme music, which might be cranking up in the background by now, and Jonathan Jones for the artwork. And thanks, everyone, for listening. So sorry about the long break. Season 2, we're back, and we'll be back again, hopefully soon. And I'll speak to you next time. Thanks, Flo. Good to have you on, mate.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jeremy.
Hey everyone, Jeremy here. Just a little update after the show. I did notice on listening to this back just before uploading it that I referred to Joshua Jones, our designer, as Jonathan Jones. I got him a bit mixed up there with Jonathan Mann, who sings the theme song. So check out Joshua Jones. He's great. He's at MindFad on Twitter. He does the designs for the new emoji set from Emojipedia. He designed the Emoji Wrap logo you might be looking at, the album art there, and he does some great work. He's been around on the Mac scene for years, and you should really check him out. So Joshua Jones, not Jonathan Jones. Sorry, Florida.